Okay, hello. We are live for the BookTube live show for this month. I am joined by Bree, the lovely Bree over from Locked Attention. If you're unfamiliar with her channel for any reason, we'll have it linked down below so you can go check her out.
Not for any reason.
Yeah. We read Jackal by Aaron E. Adams this month. And would you want to maybe just like introduce yourself to anybody maybe that's like unfamiliar with your channel and just kind of talk about what you do, what you read, maybe promote a video?
Oh yeah. This it's not a surprise to anyone who follows my channel that I suck with talking about myself. It is, I don't even know. And I was gonna write like a little script, but I totally forgot what it was. So let me see. Off the dome. My name is Bree. My channel is Lock with Titian. I also have a channel called Lock Plantitian where I talk about plants. Not as active on there as I used to be, mainly because life is lifing and life is coming for me. I'm also in a PhD program, so it makes it that in conjunction with being online is difficult. But I am a therapist, also trained in forensics. And what do I say? So on my channel, I do read pretty much anything. You're not going to find a lot of romance from me. I can say that it's not hanging out over there. If you do find romance from me, it's written by Black authors with Black characters.
Nice.
Shout out to Alexandria House, Nicole Falls, and Christina C. Jones, my favorite romance writers.
Nice.
And then I have a book club that's supposed to be monthly, but I've been hating on it because I've just been like sick, and I've been sick like 4 times since October. It's rough. So I haven't been able to get those together, but I'm going to make it a 10-month book club. It's called the Black Classics. So you can go to thriftbooks.com and get like really cheap copies of these Black classics around the world and read them with me. They've been super dope. I have a playlist on my channel. I read a lot of horror. I read a lot of comics. I read a lot of manga. And that's not something I usually say because I feel like there are other people in my life who are just like so good at that stuff. I'm a novice. Okay. I'm not going to say that I'm out here an expert. You know what I mean? I'm a novice.
I am too. Like you're totally,
you know, I do enjoy doing vlogs. That's like something I like doing. And recommendation lists. I have another one coming out soon for the end of the month. I'm trying to think. Oh, I created Black Aweenathon. I don't know why I'm thinking about Black Aweenathon. Black Aweenathon is a yearly celebration of Black authors who write crime fiction. And I've interviewed so many authors. That's also on my channel. And I don't know if I'm missing anything. Somebody can let me know if I'm missing anything.
That was great. Yeah, that was such a good pitch. I love over on Bree's channel, she does read so much manga and it's so inspiring to me. Like I'm already finding so many new recs because of you. I love that because I feel like it's hard to find a lot of booktubers who talk about manga, you know? So
it's true. It's true. I think if y'all really want some people like Shay Geeked Out, SHAE Geeked, you know, out. I'm like, what is it? Has a phenomenal like backlog, and she reads like majority manga. She reads fiction too, the novels, but it's a lot of manga. Marge Reed is one of the people I go to for horror and thriller and mystery manga. Ashley from Bookish Realm reads a lot of manga, slice of life, BL, all those different things. Fan pics? I don't know. I'm not very versed in the words. So Izzy, Happy for Now, reads a lot of manga as well. And she reads pretty much anything as well. So if you're looking for people to, cause don't, I'm not saying you can't follow me.
No.
Then when it comes to people who are immersed, I'm out here novice. Is who I want you to go to for your thing. I'm just gonna really give you horror. Like that's it. That's all I got for you.
Love it. Love it. Thank you to everyone joining us. see so many friends in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us. So I would love to know, if you're here because you have read the book. We will be doing like non-spoilers at the beginning of this chat, so you can just hang out for a bit if you haven't read it. But I would love to know if you have read it. Maybe you can put maybe like a red heart in the chat if you have read it, and then maybe you can do like a black heart in the chat if you have not read it, just so I can get a visual. And then maybe while they're doing that, Bree, would you want to give kind of like a non-spoilery synopsis just for anybody that's here that hasn't read it yet?
Wow, you and Lala.
I know.
Like, Bree, do you want to give us?
You're like, what is this about?
Right. What is this book? Literally read it like less than 12 hours ago.
Yes.
So Jackal follows the story of this young Black woman named Liz. She is Haitian American. She's from a town where she's surrounded by whiteness, to put it short. Her and her mom is one of three families, or one of very few families in the area who are Black and identify as Black. And she finds out that she was, hold on, I'm trying to not spoil it. Okay, so she was somewhere and she was supposed to watch a little girl named Carolyn. Carolyn went missing. So we're trying to figure out, where the hell is Carolyn? What's going on? But in the midst of finding out where the hell is Carolyn, we're also being introduced to intersectional identities and how they impact the main character, Liz, and Black people in America. So specifically from an American point of view, but also with Haitian and very Christian values knocked up in it. So we're looking at misogyny. We're looking at being Black and being in certain socioeconomic statuses. We're looking at what it is to experience knowing, or personally in your family having a Black girl missing. And I think it really ties into Black and brown girls being missing, and police officers and our society not giving it as much light as they would a little girl. So I don't know if I that's where we're at.
Yeah, no, that was on point. That was perfect. Yeah, so Jackal, it seems like there's a mix of some friends who have read it in the chat and some who haven't. So we will warn you before jumping into spoilers so that you can still hang out and hear our general thoughts about the book before we jump into that. But yeah, so I guess now I would love to know, because I don't know what you've rated it, and I know you just finished it, like, so I'm not too sure how you felt about it yet. So while we discuss our ratings, if you guys watching just want to, drop in the chat what you gave this book out of 5 stars, I would love to know. And yeah, Bree, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you just tell me, like, what did you rate this book, and just kind of generally like how you felt about it without spoilers?
I rated it a 5 stars.
Oh my god.
I typically don't be out here giving books 5 stars like that. Unless I read a lot of manga 5 stars. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, I rated 5 stars because to me, it was very relatable. This book, and I think I'm jumping to your last question that you sent to me, but this book to me is on par with All of Her Secrets, in the regards of that this book, even though it's fictional, is not. There's nothing fictional about this book. It's written, it's a made up story, but this is real life. And I have been in situations where family members have been missing and still missing. I've been in communities where little girls have been missing. When I was younger, I think I was less than 10, and there was a little girl when I lived in Milwaukee for a short period when I was younger. Her name was Alexandria or Alexis Patterson. And she went missing. And like the whole time when when the book was talking about certain things, all I can think of is that little girl. So this was real life for me, very relatable as a Black woman. Certain things that was said, I just felt like this was horrific. And one of the authors on the back said, Alma Katsu, who is an author I'm really trying to get into, said, real horror surrounds us in plain sight, nestled in the hearts of fiends who hide behind their barrettes of masks. Aaron E. Adams take you on a breathless ride with Jackal, revealing the courage it takes to stand up to monsters. So, I don't know. This book really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
It really meant a lot to me.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I wasn't sure how you were going to feel about it, so I'm so glad you loved it. So as far as my rating for this goes, I feel like I have a little bit of an opposite opinion. I feel like I'm giving it 2 stars.
Oh no.
But it's only okay. The reason why I struggle with rating this book is because I definitely agree with everything that you just said. Like, I think the message in this book is so powerful and so important. And also, like, the first half of this book was like 5 stars for me. Like, I loved it up until the end and the plot twist. I just really like it. Really fell apart for me, and it really just felt like something that was out of left field, but like not in a way that I was wanting. You know, like completely like ruined a lot of the things that I loved about it. But I can totally see why this would be 5 stars for you, because I do think the beginning of this book is so strong, and like the writing is good in the beginning. It was really immediately like engaging for me. But it was just, oh my gosh, I was like, by the ending I was just like, okay, what is going on? And then it just kept feeling like it was getting more and more like kind of ridiculous to me in a way, like the way the story ended up going. But I totally agree with everything that you said about like the message of this book and how important it is, and the fact that this is a debut is also pretty
I know. I think what I think is a criticism. Okay, this is I don't want to lie. I've been seeing people say certain stuff about the book, and I've been dodging it. Like pregnancy. You understand? Don't want pregnancy. Been dodging. You know what I'm saying? And what I come to the conclusion is, I think the formatting is what people don't like, and they're not like, in my mind, it's like this investigation chart that'd be at the police places, whatever, on TV, and you see the string, and you see the string, and I feel like some people are not following the strings, and I think which makes my specific me, not coming at anybody who liked or didn't like the book. I think, hold on, let me write this common opinion for those who really. Okay, so I feel like specifically for me, I'm from New Orleans, and I don't know if anybody knows that, and I think I don't hide that, and I say that, but I'm from New Orleans, and we are very influenced a lot about Haitian folks, Jamaican folks, Caribbean folks, right? And how it was set up just made sense to me. And then I love it when Black authors specifically talks about something that is real life and horrific, but add in folklore. So then when they were talking about Jackal, and I was like, okay, I know I read a lot of Egyptian stuff, so I already went there. And I knew some things about Jackal, the animal, being represented as a trickster and, you know, trying to get you and all these things. And I was like, oh my God, I love how she did this. And I love how, and so it just like, that to me felt very like comforting. But I can see somebody reading this and being like, girl, what the are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, but for me, I was here for the ride. And Aaron, if you're watching, I don't know if you are, but I'm gonna need you on my channel for an interview. We got things to discuss. But you know, that's just really how I feel.
I know, like looking back on it, I feel like the first half of this book for me felt very like mystery thriller. Like it reminded me of a lot of like usual mystery thrillers that I read. And then the ending just went so like horror, and like kind of it felt like almost like a change of genres for me at the end of the book. And I feel like that was the most like jarring thing for me, was how different the ending felt from the beginning for me. And just like everything you said, like I do think it's a really cool thing. I just wish maybe it would have been introduced a little bit earlier in the book, and not just like that jarring thing at the end that like felt like it completely flipped a switch or something.
Oh yeah. From as soon as the first chapter, I said, oh, we're going in. This is horror. Like immediately I said, this is going in. Like on my channel, I did a video saying, you know, Black and Indigenous crime fiction that's not Stephen King. And I talked a little bit about that. And this book right here is a prime example of what I was talking about. Because as soon as I started reading, I said, oh, she's coming for the throat. Got it. Let me put on my straps and get ready for this, because whoo. And also, if you have, I also want to, you know, give a content warning or trigger warning, depending on how you feel that in your body, and which one of those you resonate with, trigger or content warning. But you know, it can there are some spots that can put you in your body without your permission, and it's very jarring. Like, there were so many lines in this book. I should have did it better, but there are so many lines in this book that just really tug to you, especially if you were a Black person living or have lived in areas where you have been surrounded by whiteness. One of the lines, I just went right to it, is the only way for her to get closer to the center was to strive for whiteness, knowing she'll never attain it. With a little erasure, if it is, what is a little erasure if it ensures excellence? It's just a little bit of yourself, the bit that doesn't fit. That took me out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're going in. You know, there's just so many parts about it that I just felt that was really relatable to specifically my experiences as a Southern Black woman. And I really like the way she tied it. What I think could have been better, but also, I won't say that. I take that back. Okay. Because I don't think Black authors should be writing for the white gaze. There's so many cultures around the world that writes, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't, and that's just what it is. But I think what some readers would have maybe preferred is what I'm going to say, instead of like better. Preferred is like maybe some hints about Jackal in the beginning. Then they wouldn't have felt so left field about it, because when you're first reading it, you're thinking the person who's doing whatever is a person, you know what I mean? And then things continue.
That's what I mean. Like, I felt like the first half of this book was so like mystery thriller, where it almost like makes you believe that it's something that's happening in like the real world, or you know, something like that. But I don't know. I feel like looking back on it though, because I was looking back through some of the different parts that I tabbed and stuff, and I feel like looking back on it, I shouldn't have been so like taken off guard, because I feel like the author does do a somewhat decent job of hinting at the, you know, the plot going in a direction like that, and I just did not pick up on that at all, or I just like completely didn't think that was going to be where it ended up going.
I was like, oh, I get what we're saying. And also, I also think that was done purposefully. Like, you were reading this book because you want it to be a monster, especially if I'm out here making an assumption what I'm about to say next. But I just imagine, a lot of times I try to think of myself as a white person reading this book. And I'm reading this book and I'm like, okay, this is a monster. You know, maybe I'm a person who's working on my anti-racism journey, and I don't want to be associated with a human being doing stuff like this. So it makes better in my mind to conceptualize it as an actual bare teeth animal, to separate myself from this text, right? So then when you get to the end, you're just like human.
Yeah.
Animal? You know, so it's like, to me, that was done purposefully. And I was like, wow. Love that. But I also understand the criticisms. I do.
Yeah, I agree that the plot definitely went there. Like, I feel like this book, if I were to say anything positive about the ending, it would be that it's unique and different. I've never really read anything quite like this one before.
It went downhill fast.
Yeah, so at least there's that, you know. Okay, so before we do get into like spoilers, one of the questions I did have was, how did you feel about like the writing style in general and kind of like the overall pacing of the story? Like, did you enjoy the pacing, or did you find any parts to be like a little slow, or like anything like that?
I thought the pacing was good. For me, I love a good pacing, and I felt like she delivered. I think it's because from the first chapter, I was like, sis,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm rocking with you. I know where you're going, sis. I already knew. You know, I was already strapped in. Have my book strapped in. I want to pause, and this is off topic, but I am sick, so I'm sorry if y'all hear me coughing and all that.
No worries.
My father's child, and that's what he does. And unfortunately, I'm 32 years old, still doing that. Yet. So apart from that, that's what's happening. But I love the pace because I felt like she was telling us what is about to happen. But I think based on your cultural context, you would either get it or not. Yeah. It wasn't like easily laid out like cake, you know, not cake, but like, I don't know, something that's easily laid out. Yeah. So I really loved the pace of it. And I loved how it kept reminding you, like, this is real. Like, the whole time I kept thinking, like, say her name, you know, make sure you say this person's name. Like, you know, thinking about all the other missing Black and Indigenous girls who continuously to be missing. There was a little girl near me. When I think of her name, when I find her name, I'll put it on my community tab. But she went missing, and I was sharing. Other people were sharing near me, and she just got found dead, like in a forest somewhere, just dead. So it's like, and she's an Indigenous little girl. So I'm constantly being in spaces where I'm constantly reminded of the true horrors of people taking Black girls and Indigenous girls. So having those sections in the book where it was from their perspective and them being hunted and preyed on and things that was saying to them, I felt like really added to you understanding. And if we think about Jackal, it's meant to trick you. The whole book was meant to trick you. Jackals are tricky when we think about it from a cultural context or cultural context. Cultural contexts? You know what I mean? It's drawing all over the place. But yeah, so yeah. And I also loved how some chapters was written like a poem. Like, that's also an extra level of things. I feel like I'm talking too much, Gabby. Take it away.
No, that was good. I totally agree. I was gonna say, like, the pacing of the book really did work for me too, because I was immediately like gripped by the beginning. I like how we just like open with her going back to like the small town, and like, you know, it was immediately like engaging. I also liked the scenery, or kind of like the atmosphere of like a wedding happening and like her connecting again with her best friend. Like, it was immediately like gripping. I just got right into the story and like the characters right away. It was just those there were like some random chapters where she would be like having a dream, or it was like a dream-like state that our main protagonist was having, and those were the only chapters that I found to be a little bit slow, or just kind of like I would question like why they were there sometimes. Like, they just kind of felt like filler chapters. But did you feel like the dream chapters like added anything to the story for you, or do you feel like they also were kind of, like, unnecessary?
No, to me, the dream characters just was a representation of how society gaslight Black women to be like, are you sure? Are you sure that's what happened? You know, so for me, that's how I conceptualize that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because I don't know, when I was reading it, I was just like, okay, like, they felt a little bit like repetitive, because I felt like the same things were just happening in those dream chapters, and then I was like, is this, you know, like, leading to anything, or is this just trying to show like the main character dealing with a lot of, you know, stress and like.
Yeah, she was stressed out.
Yeah.
She was stressed out. The only thing about the book, I was like, did we need this banging romance plot?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been trying to figure out, is this like my preference, or is because, and I've already told you this privately, but I've already been saying it publicly. I'm like, is it because I'm Ace that I'm like,
yeah, I know.
Like,
no, I did the same things. I'm like, what? But like, I'm Ace too, but I also like am an avid romance reader, so like I do enjoy romance in books. But for some reason, the romance in this book, I was just like, I mean,
I didn't feel like we needed it. Like, I personally, but I also understand, you know, when I get that feeling, sexual healing. So I understand that she had to release some things because my girl
Yes.
was stressed out. So I told
Yeah.
her to get it. But to me, I was like, okay, let's get back to I was so involved into the story that I was like,
Yes.
okay, let's get back to it, you know.
Well, and it was the fact that the romance just felt so like it would be one scene where they're just like afraid for their lives, and then like literally just like the next second they'd be like, all right, let's get it on. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
and I'm
what?
like, come on.
Yeah,
Who needed that, you
I
know?
know. I'm like, you were just in danger for your life, and now you're just like,
Fighting,
okay.
fighting for my life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we need to have Brie for more book club discussions, especially for these types of books about black characters written by black authors. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, it seems like the romantic subplot was mostly unnecessary.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree.
okay, well, I think I do want to jump into spoilers now because we are about 25 minutes in, and I have, I'm sure we have so much to talk about with
I
the
do.
spoilers of this
I
book.
do.
So,
Let me pull my stuff out.
yes, so we will be jumping into spoilers now. So, if you've not read it or you just don't want to be spoiled, now would be the time that we say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all for being here. Okay, so this book with spoilers, gosh, I don't even know what I want to talk about first. There's just so much. Okay, well, I guess my first question would be, how did you feel about like all of this story being told from like Liv's point of view for the most part? Like, do you think or do you enjoy that all of the story was told from Liv's point of view, or do you think it would have been cool to get like another character's point of view? And if we did, like whose point of view do you think would have been cool?
When I read that question, I'm just cool with it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have anything I would be like another point of view would have been better or
Yeah.
added to the story. I
Yeah.
think yeah, I didn't have another one. I like the way it was formatted. I
Yeah,
didn't
I know.
I don't
My
even
I
know like what it would look like if it was different. Sorry, y'all. Y'all hear this ding? Somebody named Ted Bundy Jr. is messaging me. I don't
No
know
worries.
who this is. And it's freaking me out. And I'm about to say you're about to be blocked and blessed. So I don't know who this Ted Bundy person is, but my family is gangsters. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so anyway, continue to the story.
Yeah, I think what Rebecca just said, Caroline's point of view would have been really interesting, unique to get her point of view. My
Agreed.
like my thought process with that was that I would have liked maybe like one chapter from Liz's like childhood or like more of a perspective of like her in the past, like when she was living in the town as a young girl. I feel like that would have been kind of interesting to see what was going on then. I know we did get I'm trying to remember now because I'm like, it's been a minute since I read it, but we did get at least like one chapter where she talked about her childhood, right?
Yeah, she did. It was like moments of
Yeah.
where she talked about like how her mom responded to her
Mhm.
based on like her emotional need.
Mhm.
For me, it felt I know Haitians who respond to their children in ways that she did. Also, like the emphasis on religion and the emphasis on like not making waves. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of Black immigrants who come to this country, into America, get all types of like media, like everybody else, about what's happening in America and Black people being this.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is, if anyone is familiar with like model minority, is to like make sure that you are not making waves, to make sure that you are a good person and you're not being compared to them and you are one of the good Black people.
Yeah.
So I've seen that a lot in Black immigrant communities. So like when she would talk about certain things and it would have religion in, I already thought like, okay, this must have been something also she dealt with the child as a child. And she also said that also on page 211, shout out to
Mhm.
my notes, that she said that we are good Black people good Black folks who don't bring up race. We don't make a fuss. We don't make things uncomfortable. We are calm and cool and collected at all times, even in the face of death. Mm-hmm. And that is like, and that's also stifling, like that you come to this country and you're like, okay, I'm going to do all these things, but the media are telling you Black Americans are losing their shit. And now you're trying to like not be like those Black Americans. Then diaspora war starts and you're just like, oh, you know, it's just like so many nuances to that statement.
Yeah.
That made me be like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that was really good. That was a really good quote to pull. I don't think I jotted that one down, but that was a good quote. Yeah, so that would be my next question was, how did you feel about getting Jack's point of view? And like, when did you, because I know you said you kind of started to realize like right from the beginning, like where it could have been going or what was happening. So when in the story did you realize like, oh, we're actually reading from Jack's point of view? Because I don't know why it took me so long to realize, like it wasn't until that line where he's literally like, oh, all I want to be is a good boy or something. And I was like, wait a second. Like, am I reading from the point of view of a dog right now? You know, that totally just like took me off guard. So, like, how did you feel about getting Jack's point of view? And when did you start to like put the pieces together for like what was happening?
I think if memory serves me correct, I started putting the pieces together when we would get perspectives of the young Black girls who were missing.
Yeah.
Also, I think to have the date of them being missing around June 10th is also like, holy shit, like you did that. You know, Aaron, you did that. But also I had the advantage of hybrid reading it. I read it here and I physically, I'm like here, physically. Yeah. And then I listened to it. And if you listen to it, I think you would have had a better experience because all of the other chapters are female voice. And then when you're talking about the missing Black girls, they are from a male's perspective. Oh. So I already knew what I was getting into.
Like it's true. I didn't even put that together. Like I listened to the audiobook and I like didn't even think.
Yeah, it's a male's voice. And I'm like, oh yes. I'm reading whatever's next. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm reading whatever next.
That's so interesting.
So yeah.
Huh, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I don't know why for some reason I was thinking like, because like the direction where I was thinking this book could be going is just like it's a serial killer who is for some reason kind of, you know, targeting young Black girls for some reason. And I was just thinking it was going to be some kind of like real world explanation like that, or, you know, some kind of serial killer. And I know it was like hinting at like something like a dog throughout the story. I thought it was going to be a situation where it was this like creepy ass old white man with a dog that would like help him.
No, no.
Like, I don't know.
Like, I think if you want to reread it, or people in the chat, like really research Jackals. Yeah. If you research Jackals and then read this again, you would be like, oh. I don't know if you would be like, I'm putting that shit on you. I think it will give you a more enhanced reading experience. That's what I would say. For sure. But yeah, because I'm just like, the whole time I'm like, oh, she trying to trick me, but I won't be tricked. I won't be tricked. I know what you're trying to do here. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think when I went into this book, I don't even know if I know exactly like what a jackal is, like when I started reading it. So I think that's why a lot of it just took me off guard. And I feel like the ending just got a little bit more like fantasy horror, or like a type of horror that I usually don't read, or like I'm not really interested in. So I think that's why it was kind of like, whoa, like, okay, I was like, so it's actually like a dog that's trying to become a god. Like a lot of that.
Yeah. To me, like, it felt more like magical realism horror. But I also, as Americans, like also I don't want to placate people and be like, you shouldn't do your research. Definitely always do your research. But as Americans, what do we know about jackals? They live in Africa. Like, so like we are not in Africa. You know what I'm saying? We are chilling in North America. So as Americans, why would we know about that? Now we talking about squirrels. We might have some. You know, we might be able to give you something. But yeah, it's also like regional differences.
Yeah, or that the Jackal thing was going to be metaphor and not like literal.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's horror. It's horror. It's terrifying. Like, oh, right away.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I'm so
So
sorry for
let's
the
see,
cough.
what are my other questions? So well, I guess we did talk about this, but I was gonna say if you didn't enjoy the ending, which I know you did, but what do you think could have been different about the ending, or did you ever predict that it was going in a different direction, or were you like sure about the Jackal thing for like the whole
Oh, sure. Yeah.
yeah.
And I know a lot of people, when they read books and they know the ending, they'd be like, "Ugh, 3 stars." That is not how I read.
Yeah.
I only read it. I would only rate something lower when I saw the ending and the execution was cheesy. I'm like, come on. You said creativity. Where is she? Don't know her. Never met her. She don't live on this block. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
this one was done well to me. So
Yeah.
I really liked it. And I loved how throughout the book, she had you thinking like, oh, is this a person? Is this a is this an animal? No, this is a person. No, this is an animal. So like the whole time you were confused.
Yeah.
Which is the part of jackals when you think about them from
Yeah.
historical mythology and the stories.
I know. I thought for some reason that her best friend Mel, I thought her dad was going to be more involved with like the ending, because the whole
Oh,
time they're talking about how he's like not super accepting of like his daughter marrying this black man, and then he's like he did that whole weird thing, right, where he like made him go hunting with him, and
oh yeah,
he like very clearly was uncomfortable with it and like didn't
yeah,
want to do that, and he was like, I don't know, it was like almost like he's like, you have to do this to like be a man kind of thing, and like take her
yeah.
out of the water. That was like super weird. And then how they had that one moment, I can't remember if it was like on page or not, but they were saying how like he once like put a dog down, or he put his dog down just because of like the dog like bit a kid or something, or like it was like one thing that happened and he was like, oh, we got to put him down or something, and I was like, what the fuck.
Yeah,
Like her
yeah,
dad is just like so sick, and like I really thought that he was gonna have more something to do with the ending. Like I don't know.
yeah. I'm trying to find. So I hated Mel.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you right now. Mel being like, I don't see color. I wanted to fight her in the streets.
Yeah.
And then there's a specific quote. I'm gonna find it. I'm not gonna be. There's a specific quote. I underlined it because I was like, "Be fucking for real." I was so mad. Okay, I'm gonna paraphrase it if I can't find it. But the quote was like, she was talking about experiencing pain. And she was like, oh, everybody experienced pain. It doesn't matter who experienced it or something like that. And I was like, and that is privilege. That is white
Yeah.
privilege specifically for you
Yeah.
to compare your pain to black girls being missing.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Well,
So
yeah.
like, I've had some males in my life that I had to go ahead and say, be blocked and be blessed, because I can't. And it's so, I don't want to say it's so easy, but like, I know what it feels like to live in communities where I am surrounded by blackness. And I also know what it feels like to be in communities where I'm surrounded by whiteness. I lived in Ukraine, for Pete's sake. So I understand what it feels like to be surrounded by whiteness, in addition to all the colleges I've experienced it, except my current experience. And I know how exhausting it can be. And to the outside person who's looking in, they can be like, oh, well, she's just being complacent or she's being this. But it's so exhausting to constantly be fighting with white folks about the stupid shit that they say every
Yeah.
day, every day, every day. So then you're having a person like Mel in your life who is gaslighting you on every turn. It's exhausting. So I was like, I can't deal with Mel. And then Mel is like really thinking that she exempted from whiteness. No white person is exempted from whiteness.
Yeah.
And as a society in America, none of us, black, white, whatever, is not exempted from the effects of white supremacy. So
Mhm.
like I just need people to play the tape. Like play the
Yeah.
you can't be out here saying I'm not racist. Like, come on,
Yeah.
girl. What you saying and what you're doing and how you're acting and how you're responding to your black friend telling you how they're feeling is
Mhm.
it's right in your face. So I was just so frustrated with Mel. And I think you
Mhm.
needed a character like Mel to really hone in on the certain themes that was discussed in the book.
Yeah, I know what Rebecca said too about how she didn't actually care about the other missing girls, just hers. She literally dismissed the other girls as drug addicts or promiscuous.
Yeah. I mean, white male.
Mhm. And yeah, because her daughter was part white, then it's like the police started caring or like the town started caring about what was happening. Like that's so shitty.
Yeah. And Ty, what you said, they then they highlighted Mel's death and not Carolyn's disappearance at the end, and I was like, sounds about white.
Yep. I
You
know.
know what I mean? Like right away, I said, sounds about white. I
Mhm.
mean, and I don't know if that's what the author intended to do, but I was like, yeah, it's on par.
Mhm.
So
Oh, Jan had an interesting comment. I definitely thought Liz and her mom were behind all of it because of the sleepwalking and conversations Ben had about the only few black girls competing against each other to be the black girl. Like maybe Liz zones out and doesn't remember any of it.
hold on, can you repeat that one again?
Yeah, Liz and her mom were behind all of it. That's interesting. I don't know why I never like
Oh,
thought
I didn't think that at
I
all.
didn't think during the book that Liz was behind it.
I was man, it was the gaslighting and then the dream gas like as a I thought was like a effect of it. I'm probably
Mhm.
saying words wrong. Y'all, people in the chat is probably like, what is Bree talking about in this whole chat? Because I
No,
feel like
are you kidding me? This is great. Like, I'm
foggy
so glad.
brain.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it because I love when I have like a different perspective or when I can have two different perspectives on the live show because
Yeah,
it just brings so much more of the conversation and it helps me to understand like what others are enjoying
yeah,
about it if I'm not enjoying something like for example.
yeah.
Um,
True.
I totally agree with that though. Like the fact that it was like 32 missing girls like every year and like no one's doing anything about it or they're like dismissing it as like, oh, it was an accident with an animal or like an animal attack.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. And I also want to be transparent and honest that there also was some counter transference on my end on the book, which made the book more relatable to me. I won't say enjoyable because nothing about that was enjoyable, but more relatable. And you know, when I was like 32 missing girls, I'm 32, and you know, like
Oh,
it was a lot.
yeah.
So I do want to say that also impacted my 5-star rating.
Yeah.
Even and also for me, a 5-star rating don't mean that I loved every part of the book.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I said like 90%.
Yeah.
That was real good. And you know, there were some points that I was like, huh, valid.
Yeah.
You may not be valid for me, but this isn't about me, but it is at the same
Yeah.
time. So it was, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know if that made sense.
No,
I
I
hope
feel that.
you and the crew got out what I was putting out. Jesus, my
Some
brain
books
is
just need 5
everywhere.
stars because they hit, you know? If they
Yeah,
hit close to home, then like that's all
I
you need.
know, yeah.
All right, well, sweet. So starting to get towards the end of this live show, one of the like questions I like to ask towards the end is, do you have any other, book recommendations or movie or TV show recommendations that you think if somebody enjoyed this book, they would also enjoy, this other thing that's kind of similar, just maybe in vibes or like plot or anything like that?
Yeah.
Do you have any
I don't think the
recommendations?
context, yeah, I don't think the context is enjoyable, but if you're looking for similar stories, I will say all of her secrets is a good place to go. I was trying to think of other books because I have read other books, but
Yeah.
I'm literally blinking on them, and I was trying to think of it last night and could not.
Yeah.
But the top is a podcast recommendation.
Oh, okay.
It's called oh my god, I'm about to book my own ASF. My phone is dead and I don't know where it's at, so that's also
Shoot.
That's also me. But I think, hold on, I just up my podcast on my computer, which I didn't even know you could do that until now. So really, what is all these about? There's a podcast that I write that I listen to pretty regularly. And I wish that, I don't know how I keep forgetting the name of the podcast I listen to, but I think it's called Black Girl Gone Missing. So I'm going to type it in, and it's it's called Black Girl Gone, a true crime podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I really like what this Black woman is doing. She is definitely cases 10 years, 20 years plus, where she talks about all these different Black girls who got murdered or missing, or what happening to them. Their families still don't know. And she gives you updates if there are updates. And, families will reach out to her and be like, please make sure everyone know that we are missing her. We want her, etc. So I would definitely say get it. If you're like trying to make sure you have the right one, on the cover, it's a Black girl and it's red through her eyes. I would definitely say go ahead and listen to them, because I think it will give you I just think it's a good podcast to listen to understand how our justice system was really failing these Black girls. And it's heartbreking too. So, yeah.
So each episode is like a different case that she covers.
Case.
Okay.
It's a different case. Yeah.
Wow, so, I love a podcast.
Yeah, so that's what it is. That's the first thing I thought of when the question was Black Girl Gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's also Black Girl Gone Missing. Exactly. Sweet. I was like, I know I'm not gaslighting myself, but yeah, yeah, Black Girl Gone is so good. And I think I found it maybe last year. Last year I found it, or the year before. I can't remember.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one book that came to mind that's kind of similar in vibes a little bit, at least for the beginning, is the book When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen.
Agreed.
This one, like, the only reason it kind of reminded me of this is because we have a similar situation in a way, where we have a Black protagonist who's coming back to the small town where she grew up, where her white best friend is getting married, and then things are like uncomfortable because of the destination where she decides to get married on this old plantation that's been turned into like a resort. And all of the staff at this resort are all Black people, and it's very this whole book is very uncomfortable and disturbing. And so just like that alone kind of reminded me a little bit of the beginning of Jackal, with the way it's like a similar premise of that kind of thing, but this book goes in a much different direction.
Yeah, but I will say the character Mel and the supposedly best friend, and When the Reckoning Comes, is on the same mind frame.
Yeah, I that's what I mean. It has like a similar vibe where you're kind of like,
they're one sound, one band.
Yeah,
that's what them two is.
Yep,
embarrassing.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Well, I think. Did you have any like final thoughts about this book before we wrap up this live show?
No, I think I pretty much said it. I did want to get more like comment engaging of like, what do y'all think? If do y'all have any questions about the book? Something that didn't fit right, or
if you have any,
just comments. I don't like to qualify things like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what Kyla said. I love the impact this book makes. It stays on your brain and keeps you thinking about the plot, about the messages and discussions, and encourages you to learn more. I would totally agree.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on that for sure. I'm trying to think if I a comic recommendation.
Ooh, yes,
would be Bitterroot.
Bitterroot.
If you're looking for similar themes.
Okay.
Bitterroot would be,
Bitterroot. I don't know if I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Looking it up.
Bitterroot. people are probably like, "What's Bitterroot?" I'm like, Google it. But also, Bitterroot is it is a comic story about. Do I have Bitterroot with me? I don't know. I was gonna get it on the sale on this place right now. I actually have it up behind me. I'm like, Bitterroot, buy one. Bitterroot is a story about this family who is trying to save people and kill monsters, and the monsters are people who are being inflicted with white supremacy. Just that's all I'm gonna say. And there's a lot of like things on racism, misogyny. There is some gaslighting in it. There is also some content or trigger warnings, like I said, whichever of those resonate with you. That's in it. So definitely look up to it. But it's also done in like this fantasy kind of thing, but not really fantasy. I would say it's more like magical realism. Is what I would say.
Sounds interesting.
Ring shout as well. Ring shout as well. Yeah.
Okay. We actually had a good question. Will you read from this author again, and what kind of story would you like to see from them next? I think I definitely would read from this author again because I really did like the writing style, and the first half did feel like a 5-star for me. So like I definitely enjoy the writing. I enjoy the characters. I don't know though what I would like to see her do next.
Oh yeah, I don't know. For those of you who rated this book lower than a 5, like me, did anything I say helped, or like did you feel like it was like left field? Did you like were your honest opinions on that? Even if you disagreed with me, which is okay, like we're human beings. It's okay to disagree unless it has to do with my life. Then it's personal. Then it's personal, and I'm looking for your IP address. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know how to do that shit. But that's one thing I wanted to say because I did realize I was like, from my perspective, but it's just me and you on the screen.
I super appreciate all of the different points you brought up about this book and a lot of the context and like how it relates to you, because I think that that's really powerful, and I love whenever a book can do that for someone, because I feel like it's rare that you really like connect and like see yourself in stories. So I loved like hearing your insight was really insightful, so I appreciate that.
And I was so shocked when I did not go into this thinking it was going to be a 5-star. I went into this thinking this is going to be a 2-star, and I'm going to be pissed off. I went in thinking that I was going to be pissed off, like what is the book called? Oh my god, it's blanking. It's Black Girl something. Oh my god, it just came out this year. Somebody help me. I went into it being like, y'all done pissed me off. Like I was so mad reading that book. But then I was like, why are people hating this? Like after I got done with it.
I know.
And I was praying that I loved it because I purchased this with my monies, y'all. The other black girl. There we go.
Okay.
The other black girl. I would not talk about that book in mixed company. You know what I mean? But
I know that's so interesting because I was on Jesse from Bow Ties and Books. I was on their channel like earlier this month, and they were like, oh my god, you're gonna have Bree read Jackal? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, she's gonna hate it. And I was like, no, like they were for sure thinking you were gonna hate it. And I was like, I don't know, because I've just been hearing from everyone that like nobody really liked Jackal. So I'm glad though that you did enjoy it, because I like getting more of a perspective, like I think it's a good
and that's the thing. People who I trust. Their reading ratings was like, I hate this book. And I was like, oh God, what am I getting into? Like terrified. And I'm going to reread it again because I'll be talking with this book with what is the full moon book club?
Jan.
With Jan Agatine. I was like, I don't know if it's the full moon or full moon book club. So I'll be coming back at y'all in January. And I did highlight some stuff I didn't talk about, so I can talk about there as well.
There you go.
So we're gonna get
I know,
some.
I'm glad you enjoyed it because if you have to talk about it twice, I'm glad that it's
I
gonna be
know. I'm
something
like,
you
oh
enjoy.
no, I'm gonna talk about how I hate this book.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But yeah,
I'm so glad to hear that.
yeah.
Glad to hear it.
The cover is giving. The cover,
I know, the
wow.
cover is, like, one of my favorites of the year probably, like,
Yeah, it's
obsessed.
very pretty. It's
Yeah.
very pretty. That's probably one of the reasons why I bought it. If I gotta be
Yeah.
honest. But I'm gonna need that signature Kubri fantastic supporter. Aaron,
Yeah.
I need you to go ahead and sign this. I don't know what
Yeah.
book, Comic-Con, Kami-san, Kami whatever.
Yes.
You're gonna be at. I always mince
Yes.
up words, so
I know there's something about the Starry Night, kind of covers that just really works for me.
I know
The way
I
they just kinda
love Story 9. I
the
was
way
about
she
to
kind of,
say
like, light leaked over her face, like, beautiful.
it's so nice.
Mhm.
I do have a love-hate with desk jackets. I
Yeah.
really do. Because I'd be like, really?
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate a desk jacket. I usually lose them. I don't know how I have this one. I lost it. I totally recommend also people to annotate their books. I know. Ooh, scary. But I definitely recommend to use washi tape too. It's really cool. I learned how to do the washi tape from Onyx Pages in Jiri.
Oh,
She does a lot of cool stuff
that is
with
cool.
washi tape and stuff. So
I never
that's
thought to use washi tape.
washi tape. Shout out to Injuri for doing the Lord's work on that one.
That is
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because washi tape is so beautiful, like, compared to just regular tabs.
Yeah. And then I got this from my friend Nicole. She would like
Ooh.
put which ones you have there and then the date.
Oh,
Even
cute.
though mine is kind of chicken scratch, but it is what it is. You know, I gotta put me first.
Yes. I love that. Alright, well, I think that just about wraps up this live show, so thank you so much to everyone who, joined this live show and read along with us this month. I really appreciate you, and also to Bree for joining me. I'm so glad to have finally had you on the BookTube. I feel like this was kind of, like, a long time coming because I just really adore you and your content, and
Oh,
your
thank
videos make
you.
me so happy. Like, your personality is just so, like, your ball of sunshine. So yeah, so I appreciate you for joining, and, thank you so much to everybody who joined, and we're gonna head out. I hope you have a good rest of your Saturday, and,
You do. Sorry for the coughing and the sniffing. I
oh,
really
you're so good.
apologize.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm so goddamn late.
No, you're
Freaking out.
totally good.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we're gonna see you later.